Now, if I can remember what I was going to try to play in connection to the cloudy, and if I haven't lost my mind, that's it. Now, if I can play a middle of that. There, and you almost took us there. So having done that,
yes, sir.
A little experiment in percussive hoopla.
Right.
All right. Having come back here to Cafe Zola to do another reading, I have no choice but to do what I came to do.
That is a good thing.
Reading columns that I wrote for the African Times newspaper in 1996. 1998. This particular column was written during the course of African American History Month, better known to some people as Black History Month.
Got it.
But since we don't come from some place called Black Land, I would choose to call it African American History Month.
Gotcha.
This column was done during the shortest month of the year, as we all know, February. I think that's appropriate for Black History Month, that it should be very short, and that African American History Month should be extended for 12 months. But that's just my own personal opinion.
Okay.
Let me go on. The title is called Celebrating African American History Month. Here it is, right here, right in front of you, celebrating. This is the column. And,
Media watch.
There it is.
Big eye on the middle.
Hey,
Eye on it.
big eye watching you. If we were back in Ghana this month, we would be celebrating our gorgeous selves by tripping around to our favorite places, most of them to the left of center. An eclectic collection of African Americans, Cuba, Brazil, Jamaica, Nicaragua, Panama, LA, Chicago, New York, Rome, Madrid, Stockholm, Copenhagen, Lagos, gathered at the Country Kitchen restaurant in Osu, a neighborhood in Accra, a lovely thatched hut open on 3 sides to kick it with a holiday brunch. Despite the fact that some of us live in Ghana, West Africa, we do not think of ourselves as expatriates in the Euro sense of the word. Actually, we're back home, if you can dig where I'm coming from. We are seriously involved with dozens of projects, businesses, concerns, most of them having to do with bridging the artificial gaps that have been created by the usual suspects to keep Africans and Africans abroad from sharing the bomb. 2 days later, we meet at the cafe on the grounds of the W.E. Du Bois Center of Pan-African Culture. We have asked one of the most respected priests in Accra to pour libation for us libation. Nice. We have asked one of the most respected priests in our crowd to pour libation for us, to help us pray for the reconciliation of all people of African descent everywhere. One of our Ghanaian friends thinks it's all a bit much. Oh, come on our chaps. We don't need all that sort of thing. Libation, indeed. Kwame's a good brother, just a bit misguided. We had similar problem with him and a few others when we tried to petition the government to offer official recognition of Kwanzaa. My brother, it is your holiday, not ours. Why should we be forced to honor it? Forced? We could make them understand that all of us would benefit from recognizing, honoring, celebrating the lives of all of our heroes, sheroes. Zumbi, Njinga, the Jamaican Maroons, Louverture, Tubman, Marley, Hannibal, Rosa Parks, Rigoberto Menchú, Guatemalan, well, why not? Henson, Robeson, Dr. Margaret Burroughs, Nkrumah, Lady Day, Bird, Chano Pozo, Armando Parata, whoever, the Watts Prophets, Amdi, Otis O'Sullivan, Richard Dado, they wouldn't buy it. We still have a serious problem with some Africans about recognition of the diaspora. Who knows why? Well, I do, but it would take much longer than we have to get into it. If you get away from your tour big hotel circuit where nobody talks about anything but things, and get down to the chop bar level with an honest bowl of kinky fish and pepper, shito, in front of you, or some well-pounded fufu in light soup with a piece of goat in it, to talk to the average person, you may come away illusioned in a negative way with our sisters and brothers in the motherland. Many of them refer to your ancestors as though they were talking about a separate tree or something. But they are not to be blamed for their ignorance. The same media that feeds us so much misinformation has never informed them at all. Who said you're only as rich as your source of info? Back to the Pan-African History Celebration groove in Ghana. One of our more spiritually enlightened sisters suggests that we take a trip to the town of Larteh, to the shrine of Akonodi. It is an exhilarating 2-3 hour drive. It is an exhilarating 2-3 hour drive. Well, that's what it was. What am I looking at? We're sitting out, boy. We're sitting out on the.
What's that one called again? That you're reading
The town
from?
is called Larteh.
Okay, what's the article called that you're reading from?
The article is
What's the name?
Celebrating African American History Month.
Drum a little bit. I'll be right back.
Well, what do you need? I'm in the middle of this.
I might be able to get the rest of that. Do you see the rest of it? Do you see the rest of it there?
No, what?
Do you see the rest of the article?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just fooling around.
Oh, all right.
I want to see how attentive you are.
I'm very attentive. I'm on the way to Larteh,
All right.
and
No,
I
got you.
I totally enjoyed it.
I got you.
Okay, and I enjoyed the restaurant.
Okay, well, let me start off with just where we left off.
Okay.
When they put you on a thing.
Yes. Okay.
The group of African Americans who we got together to take a drive to the town that is called Larteh, and it is like the spiritual home of the shrine of Akonodi.
I've been there.
One of our most spiritually enlightened sisters suggests we take a trip to the town of Larteh, to the shrine of Akonodi, It is an exhilarating 2-3 hour drive, and the committed schedule ourselves for the weekend. The Nana Oparabea, deceased, moved to another level in 1996, was the priestess of the Shrine of Akonoti, a place where many African American members of the religion pilgrim to every year. It has been suggested that Kwame Nkrumah, the Osagifo, an Nzima-speaking man and a devotee to Akonoti, received some of his powers from Nana. Ashe. As our taxi caravan slowly snakes through latte streets to their shrine, we see many young women dressed in white, their face and bodies smeared with white spiritual makeup, walking here and there. We smile and joke. Maybe they've heard of African American History Month and they're joining us. We are admitted to the shrine, all 9 of us. 3 have decided to opt out at the last minute, unable to cope with the spiritual weight that might be placed on their Christian shoulders by going into a voodoo temple. Give me a break. Nana's Ochame, the spokesman and linguist, a bald-pated Chinese-looking brother, receives us cordially and speaks to Nana on our behalf. She accepts our offering of Hank's schnapps. The Dutch wedge themselves into our spiritual practices when they realize how many libations were being made every year.
Smart.
Yes, smart. For the shrine, agrees to meet us, listen to our requests, and perhaps make a libation on our behalf. The libation is a serious matter. Sometimes our ancestors will not drink. Nana appears to be a well-worn 100 or so, but her eyes are baby bright and cyber wise. After our audience with her and the libation she has offered to our ancestors, grant them their deepest wishes. Several of us share the opinion that she had X-ray vision. Ain't nobody can tell me that Nana didn't look straight through my eyes and into my head. Midnight on the terrace veranda at Tamara's.
I like Tamara's.
A gorgeously arranged cafe, motel, hotel on the fringe of latte. We sit, stirring languid glasses of warm beer around in watery circles, spaced out. The night bomb, the night must be very close to the temperature of our bodies, with the hint of a breeze coming from several mysterious directions. Moments later, the earth seems to open up gently, and we are enclosed by a troupe of dancers and musicians. We exchange bewildered looks. Where did they come from? The ensemble is superb. The drummers are lords of rhythm, and several of the women have centrifugal hips that do everything. I'll repeat that. The drummers are lords of rhythm, and several of the women have centrifugal hips that do everything. After 15 minutes of a welcoming dance ceremony, they invite us to come to Africa, come home. We are all dancers and we dance. How can we not dance with drumming like that? We dance so well that some of the customers, where did they come from? Paste CDs on our sweat-soaked foreheads, and members of the ensemble give us applause. And just as suddenly as it started, it's over. 3 hours later, the ensemble moves off into the night. The next day, we made half-hearted jokes about what the brothers in America might be doing. You know, it kind of pissed me off that I have to wait till February every year just to see an African film, or an Afro-Cuban film, or an Afro-Brazilian film at the Magic Johnson Theater. Yeah, that really is a drag, huh? And what about all the fast foods, Afrocentric bullshit that some of these people pull out of the box? Don't be so hard on folks, my brothers. People are just doing the best they can with what they know. And that was what happened on that particular day at that particular time.
Before the people who came to Africa bought their alcohol, did they do libations with palm wine?
They did. They did. That's documented, and the traditional people still do. But for some reason, that schnapps snuck in there, and I had occasions when people would say you shouldn't take any other kind of gin, but this Dutch gin called Henkes, Henkes. I'm not trying to advertise for it,
Right.
but it comes in a green bottle.
Very strong.
And not stronger than the other gin. It's certainly stronger than the local gins, which taste like
It's stronger than
local
palm
gin.
wine.
It's stronger than palm wine. Palm wine, with all due respect for the makers of it, tastes a bit like soapy water.
I noticed that.
And you have to drink a whole lot of it to get a buzz. I used to sit up with people and drink it by the quart.
Oh my goodness.
And the only thing it caused me to do is have a lot of urination.
I'm sure there. Okay.
That's
See
all.
why.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you like for me to read another before I end this?
Oh, would you please?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
We get off into these side conversations, and I don't quite know what to do with myself because you just simply, okay, we've just finished February. This is March.
Oh, okay. That was quick.
And fittingly, as someone once said, fittingly, this is
March what year?
March of 1998.
Okay.
And I decided to devote this one to that great Nigerian drummer, known to most of us when he was alive and since he was, as Babatunde Olatunji. Babatunde Olatunji.
Yes.
Babatunde Olatunji grew up in a small fishing agricultural village called Ajido, 40 miles from Lagos, Nigeria. Learning to play drums and other musical instruments, a normal procedure for those days. He learned that 3 spirits come together in the drums. The spirit of the wood from which the drum is carved, the spirit of the animal whose skin embraces the wood, and the spirit of the one who plays the drum.
Wow. Okay.
That was something I never forgot. He was a funny man when he talked. He used to give little talks at the Day of the Drum at the Watau's Art Center. And he would, people would come and pad and pencil because, he's a professor of drumming. And he'd say things, don't hit the drum with your hand like that. It will make your finger sore. You must know how to do it. And he knew how to do it.
I'm sure.
Olatunji came to the United States in the mid-50s, sponsored by the Rotarian Club of America.
Oh my God. That's interesting.
To study at Morehouse College in Atlanta. He was priming himself to be a diplomat and studied political science and business administration. He was appalled by the widespread ignorance and distorted impressions even amongst African Americans. He learned that most American beliefs about Africa were created by the movies. Hollywood has always depicted Africa as a dark continent of cannibals, shrunken heads, and Tarzan and Jane. I had to do something about that false image, he said. Olatunji began to give talks around Atlanta using drums to demonstrate and dispel misconceptions. He became immensely popular as a musician, and when he went to complete his master's degree and work on his doctorate at New York University, he realized he could use his music to accomplish traditional diplomacy. He could accomplish what traditional diplomacy could not. Because politics has failed to bring us together, we have to take the cultural route. Then he began to bring the grassroots together, both black and white. Music can do it. It's the universal language. In 1959, Columbia Records released Drums of Passion, Olatunji's first album and the first traditional African music album ever recorded in a modern stereo recording studio. It established Olatunji as Africa's most visible cultural ambassador and paved the way for American acceptance of other performers like King Sunny Ade, Fela Kuti, Miriam Makeba, Hugh Masekela, and others. Drums of Passion, followed by several other Olatunji albums for major labels, is still selling well after 30 years. Olatunji said he never received royalties for the album until a few years ago. I knew nothing of copyrights. I was just happy to be able to record the music.
Wow.
During the 60s and 70s, there was a recording drought. Olatunji spent most of his time teaching at the Olatunji Centers, established in Washington, D.C. and New York. Most of the instructors of African dance, drumming, and culture have studied with him, and new generations of students seek his guidance. For years, he's performed in public schools in and around New York. Grateful Dead drummer Mickey Hart, a former participant in one of Olatunji's workshops, helped introduce him to a wider audience in 1986 when he, Carlos Santana, and Ayoto worked with Olatunji on Drums of Passion, The Beat. Later came the acclaimed Drums of Passion, The Invocation. Hart's latest collaboration with his mentor, Planet Drum, won a Grammy, but for Hart, not Olatunji. Olatunji says he's not bitter that whites are often the beneficiaries of the talents of Africans and African Americans. If it weren't for Hart, Paul Simon and others like him, the music might not have been produced at all, he said. And added that he had offered to collaborate with several other well-known black musicians, but was turned down.
Wow.
I'll have to pause for a little in libation for that.
I heard that.
Now, in his mid-70s, he's beginning to reap financial rewards from his recordings. Although he was one of the first to blend African music with jazz and pop music forms, traditional music is still closest to his heart. His dream is to establish a center of African performing arts in Ajito to ensure that traditional music and dance continues to be taught. He returns at least once a year to honor his elders and encourage the younger generation. I believe we must incorporate African culture into the educational curriculum. We have to teach it to the children, because if we don't, the real traditional music, the source of all the rest, will be forgotten. In 1991, a co-founder of Planet Drum with Mickey Hart and others, Olatunji produced a CD recording of the same name with musicians from India, South America, the Caribbean, and the US. Planet Drum has been a bestseller on the commercial charts, and the ensemble has played to full houses on a 15th city tour. And that was Olatunji. I really enjoyed knowing him. I didn't hang out with him, but I met him often enough at the Watts Towers Art Center when we had Day of the Drum, and on other occasions. He was a delightful man. He was incredibly knowledgeable about things of the world. He had the kind of bright philosophy that people have who are spiritually settled. He was never snarky. I mean, people would come up to him and start talking
very approachable.
basically nonsense.
Very
and he was patient. He didn't suffer fools lightly, but but he'd give them a moment or two and then wish them well and carry on. One of the things I have to remember is that at the Watts Towers Art Center, on one occasion, he was like the master of ceremony for Day of the Drum, which was a yearly event at the Watts Towers Art Center. I was working in the office at the time, answering the phone and giving people directions as to how to get to the Watts Towers Art Center for the Day of the Drum. And this man must have came into this office about 15 times to change gowns.
Wow.
I mean, he had
awesome.
some gorgeous clothes. Okay? Just when you thought he had, knocked you out with that one, he would come on with another one. And he was having fun. He was changing clothes. What are you doing? I'm answering the phone. Oh, okay. Let me speak. And somebody, you can hear him on other. And how do I get to Watts Towers Art Center? hello, this is Olatunji. This is Baba. Come this way. And he says to me, because he didn't know how to get there, which way did they turn when they get to 103rd? So make them from where? East or west? Oh, they're coming from the west. Okay, well, just keep straight. Okay. Just keep straight.
What was the name of his the album you were talking about?
Drums of Passion.
Drums of Passion.
Or, so that was Olatunji. Thank you for having me at Cafe Zola once again.
I know.
And as usual, I have to run.
You have to run.
I do. I have to go. Things await me. My car is fueling up at the curb. That's exactly right. I think you're playing. Yeah.
Drums of Passion.
That's him. That's him.
1959.
Oh, today, oh, today, y'all. Oh, today.
Why, thank you.
Thank you.
That was very enlightening, as always. Thank you for coming to Cafe Zola. We appreciate your expertise in so many areas. Your website is www.odiehawkins.com. We have to upgrade it soon. And your books can be purchased at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Egg Books, Baby Books, and Artsway Publishing. I think that's about it. Or a person go to
if you want a couple of bamboo sticks like this, you'll have to go out into the jungle and find them yourself.
You got that right, okay? And also your radio plays are also on the internet at Old Time Radio Show. And until tomorrow.
Till tomorrow, same time, same place.
Same
we got
time.
a little ways to go.
I do understand that. Thank you very much, Mr. Hawkins.